Hey everyone, it's Jeannie from A1 Vacuum and Sewing. I'm getting ready to stitch out October's Digital Dealer Mystery Quilt Wallflower. Oh my goodness. I just loaded something and I think I called it the Mystery Wallflower Quilt October block. So Mystery Quilt Wallflower is what it's called. And we're stitching out the October block. I just finished stitching both of the Minky Kim ones. The first one, my video was kind of a fail. The second one was semi-successful with a little bit of fails, but this is the October block using my Minky Kim fabrics. These are the dimensional flowers. They are so cute. They really, really make the block. And I'm going to get ready to stitch it out using the Kimberbell fabrics. So we're going to do this the traditional way, meaning I'm not going to be doing any scan and cut stuff. I am going to rehoop right now. So let's go ahead and rehoop. So when I rehoop, I'm going to take the top one completely off. And I did mirror image, just so you know. Somebody asked me, they called me and they were like, why are you mirror imaging? And I was like, well, because I think it's cuter. I think it's more interesting if you mirror image. Because, you know, your flowers aren't going to all be facing the same direction. Your snail is not going to be crawling in the same direction. So you'll have one go one direction and one go the other direction. And I think that's just cuter. So, but you can do it any way you want. You are not obligated to, mirror image. And in the very beginning, I didn't do it because I kept forgetting. But when I finally remembered, I was like, oh, I'm totally going to mirror image everything. So here's my first guy. He's going to get pressed again because I'm going to press him before I trim him, but he is super cute. I love this. The center of the flower, which you would never notice until you stitch it out, but that is really adorable. All right, let's hoop. So when I hoop, I'm going to move my threads. These are the thread colors we're going to be using. So get these out. Buttercup, avocado, aloe, shadow, haze, peach, and linen. Or you can also use pearl. I was out of pearl and I just brought one home and I am going to use it tonight. Pearl's like my new favorite color because it's a little bit darker than your linen. So it stands out a little more. All right. 2 littles on the top. And you can have this sticking out probably about like a 1/4 inch to like 1/2 inch. You don't want it too much because you don't want it to get in the way of the other embroidery. Right. And then I'm going to take my hand. Well, first let's put these clips back on to keep this neat and tidy. It's kind of like having a roller stabilizer. I'm going to move this up and I'm going to put my hand right down here. Kind of stretching it taut, but not making it tight. And now we're going to put 2 biggies on the left and 2 biggies on the right. I was just talking to Violet and we were laughing so hard. I love this age. Don't get me wrong, I loved all the ages and all the stages, but I love young adult. It's just fun. All right, with my top one, I do not want this to accidentally get caught on anything, which means really fold it under. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this one, and I'm going to fold this over and clip this, and that way, if I fold it under, I don't want it to get wrapped underneath and stitched down, which I have done before. It's very frustrating. I'm going to take this hoop and slide it onto my machine. But before I do that, let's change my bobbin because the bobbin is almost out. I mean, seriously, I hate wasting, but I think this is going to go in the trash. Look at me say that, but then put it on the table. Let's talk about our fabric. So I already stitched these out that isn't, I'm not going to stitch them out again because I'm going to stitch them at the sew along. So I don't want to stitch the set out and then have to sew them again at the sew along. This is enough for me to do this one right here. So if you go to my Minky Kim video, so if you're doing the pre-recorded, I know you can't even read this, but if you go to the pre-recorded video at 28 minutes, and I'll put this in the supply list, at 28 minutes and 54 seconds in the Minky Kim video 1 for October, that's where I'm going to show you how to stitch out these peach freestanding embellishments and how to do 2 sets in 1 hooping in the 4x4. So that goes all the way until 56 minutes and 5 seconds. So for that time right here, that's going to be what, about 28 minutes. For about 28 minutes, I'm going to be stitching those flowers and showing you how to set it up, and I will put this in the supply list so you'll know. All right, so I already have these pre-stitched. When we have our live sew along, we are going to start the class by stitching out 2 sets of these. And but if you want to do it before then, you can watch the video and I just show you how to do it. And so you need to have your plaid fabric with SF101, a piece of batting that's 6x8, and you need this piece of fabric with shape flex on the back. If you don't, this is going to shadow through. Even with that, you can kind of see it shadowing through a little bit, but you need to add that or else you're going to see it a lot. How's that for an explanation? Let's go on over to the machine with all our colors. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and load my bobbin and slide my hoop on so I have a place to sit. I wish I had a bigger sewing room. I would sit on a little love seat. And I would sit on a little love seat so that Poppy could sit with me. Or Momo. Because they like to sit with me on my love seat. Okay. Make sure you check and that fabric is not tucked under. Now we're going to go ahead and load our design. I already have it loaded, but I'm going to show you how to load it. I already transferred everything with Design Database Transfer. So go to Embroidery. You're going to go to the pocket. I am going to go here to this button, which is where I go if I do Design Database Transfer. And first thing we're going to do is load our quilting design. The quilting design that you're going to be using is going to be October. And remember, I already did this, make 1 set. That's in that video that I'm going to put into the supply list. But right here, you're going to go to Spring 6. That's the quilting background that you want. And you're going to choose the 6x8 size. That's what you're seeing right here with the little inchworm. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose that because I already have it in here. I'm going to set it. And now we want to add to that. So to add, you're just going to hit add down in the bottom left. We're going to go back here to Design Database Transfer. Well, to the pocket and then the Design Database Transfer. And now we're going to add this. This is our October design. And I'm going to do the first one. Let's do the first one. So it is, you know what? I'm going to mirror image it. The reason I'm going to do that is because when we do our class, I'll make it come in the right direction. But this one, I'm going to mirror image. So I'm going to go ahead and hit set. All right. If you look at your instructions, never just start stitching because a lot of these, they've wanted us to move that center design or the main design. They've wanted us to move that. Where's my page of instructions? And I have put it in your supply list too, or your spreadsheet. So if, like for instance, right here, where it says, do you want it to be centered? It says, no, align with bottom, see instructions. So you're going to align the design with the bottom. And right here is a picture. So do you see that? So it is showing you the outline of the quilting design, and it wants you to take the bottom of those stems and it needs to go right on the bottom line. So the embroidered design, the bottom of that is going to line up with the bottom of the quilting design. Do not leave it centered like that because they want you to sew those bottom of the stems into your seam allowance. So I'm going to come right here. I'm going to zoom into 200% so you can really see this. I don't recommend you move it with your finger because you might move the design behind. You might move the front design left or right. You want to leave it centered and you just want to move it down. So we're going to go to edit. This is your color list. Behind your color list are your editing options. When you touch that again, color list comes back up. So they're kind of like one is right in front of the other. This is your move key. It doesn't say the word move anymore if you're on the Avenir. So you're just going to go to where the arrows are. And I'm going to use this and I'm just going to bring it down. There we go. And let's just click, 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 click. And we are in place. All right. I'm going to go back to 100%. That looks perfect. I'm going to say okay. And let's go to embroidery. Now I've already chosen my 7x12 hoop. That's going to show me the outline of my work area. To get that box up on your screen, you can go right here to your settings button. It'll either be, it'll either show you a piece of notebook paper with the dog ear or this gear. I'm going to touch that. And then right here, you can select whatever hoop size you want. For me, it's a 7x12. You might have to arrow through it depending on the machine that you're on. If you're on the Luminaire or the Avenir, then you can kind of push or pull. The other machines, you have to arrow to it. So 7x12. And I'm just going to leave everything else the way it is. I would like to stitch at 1,050 stitches per minute, but with the magnetic hoop, it only lets me go to 800. So I'll take what I can get. And now I'm just going to go ahead and say okay. And we're on our layout page. Now that my hoop is on, confirm your hoop is on with the lever down. I am just going to move this all the way up. I don't move it in my edit page because the two designs will separate unless I group them. But on my layout page, I can just touch layout. There are my move keys again. And I'm just going to push it all the way up. It moves all of it as one in your layout page. It looks as one combined design. So we are ready to stitch. I'm going to go ahead and say okay. And you know this is my favorite button right here. This is where we can go backwards and forward stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and touch that. And we are going to get stitching. The first thing it wants to do is a placement line for your batting. So let me grab my thread. Pick any color, but pick a color that is going to be darker. So why don't I grab my haze? Let me thread her up. And you need your spray tank because we are going to be spraying a little bit. Spray your batting down. Make it stay. Put your fabric down. Yes, I know. You're like, did she just make that up on the spot? I did. I got the music in me. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm just going to go ahead and hit my threading button. I'm going to move my papers out of the way because I could see me leaving them there and then stitching them all down. And go ahead and hit start. While it's doing this, the placement line, make sure that fabric doesn't get rolled under. It's always a scary thing, right? That might happen. While it is, I'm going to watch it. Make sure it doesn't go under. I'm going to use my spray tent right over here. So this is my spray tent, my dime spray tent with a big old dirty piece of cardboard in there. Yeah, I've just been using the same piece of cardboard for like, I don't know, a year now. I love it. I'm going to grab all my fabric. And my batting, I'm looking for the nubbier side, which is this side right here. I'm going to give it a little shot of spray. I used to say just go, but lately I've been like kind of spraying the heck out of it. And then I'm going to give my background fabric a little shot of spray too. I mean, that's spraying the heck out of it for me. You just don't do it like it's your Aquanet in the 80s. Like, you don't need that much spray. I had my roommate from college. Okay, so I put it right there in the square. Now I'm going to lay this down. This is my background fabric. She was a Jersey girl. And so she was telling me how while they were in line for registration, I think she went back to her room to make her hair even bigger. Because in the 80s, we tried to have big hair. Do you know, like, I don't think that's a great look for Asians. Permed, big hair. I had a perm. Actually, in high school, I did have a perm, I think maybe it was high school or middle school. Not in college. But I was kind of awed by how big some people could get their hair. Okay, so let's go here because we are going to skip some steps. So I'm going to go here. We're skipping this step because that is the tack down for your batting. We don't need it because we cut it to size. That is the placement stitch for your background. We don't need that because we already laid it down. And that is your tack down for the background, and we do need that. That's step 4 of 16. I want you to go ahead and do this step. And this is important that it is a color that you can see because you will be fussy cutting to this color. This is kind of your cut line, but not exactly because usually it isn't really perfect. And you are going to be using your spatula anywhere that you would put your fingers that are going to be near the needle. For now, you're not going to have that danger of running into your needle because you're going to use your spatula. It's one of my new favorite tools. Okay, if you look at your screen, it wants you to do the quilting stitch. I did bring home pearl, but I don't know where it is, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my linen. It is nighttime. I don't have great lighting. I do have great lighting, but not everywhere. I think I need lighting, like professional lighting, like camera people use. Okay, go ahead and do your quilting stitch. This is 3 minutes of stitching. The whole stitch out is 29 minutes. I'm going to get some other stuff ready while I do this. I have a really cute fabric kit that I want to get ready. All right. Now, if you look at your instructions, it's really important with the mystery quilt that you read the instructions, because sometimes it wants you to go straight into the embroidery and sometimes it wants you to skip some steps. So right here it says, if doing block by block quilting, skip to machine step 3. We are doing block by block. Block by block is when you're adding the batting and everything and then doing the quilting stitch, as opposed to clear blue tiles, which is just doing the quilting stitch. So we're going to skip step 1, which is a placement line, and we're going to skip step 2, which is a tack down, and we're going to go straight here to step number 3. So I want you to grab your avocado thread, and you are going to start with doing some of the stems. So let's go ahead and take out our linen out. Avocado, which is this bright green, in. Let me go ahead. I'm going to move this out of my way a little bit so we can see better. How's that? Up and down and around and... And this is going to be, oops, hang on. Let me hit my scissor button because I was looking at what we were stitching. I'm going to leave that because that is going to be kind of in the trim line anyways. But I told you to skip the steps and then I didn't skip them. So that's the placement stitch step. That is the tack down for the background. And then those are the stems, and we're going to do the stems. How do you get there if you're not there? Let me go back. So back. So that's showing you something I don't want to stitch. I'm going to say, okay, it's this button right here. This is where you go forward and backward stitches. Sorry, didn't want to touch that. Right here. Okay. And the arrow brings you to the next step. This arrow brings you back to this beginning of the step that you're in or the previous step. So I'm going to skip that placement, that tack down, and we are going to do that. So go ahead and hit your start button. It's going to stitch those stems. All right, look how cute that color is. Okay, if you look at your screen, now it wants you to do all those bushy leaves. We're going to do that with aloe. So go ahead and get your aloe thread. Aloe thread. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I remember the first time I got like a really bad sunburn and people were like, put aloe on. I'd never heard of anything. It sounded so crazy. And I just smear that stuff on. It was really refreshing and kind of cooling. Oh my God. Remember having a really bad sunburn your first time? I was like, I think I was in my teens. I don't think I'd had a bad sunburn before then. Okay, so this is going to be 8 minutes of stitching. Just let it stitch. All right. If you look at your screen, you'll see that the next thing it wants to do are those little circle flowers. I forget what we used to call them, like some kind of bell flower. And so I'm going to go ahead and put in the haze. That's what it's calling for. So put your haze in. I find it so painful to sit and watch the machine stitch every single little part of these flowers. So I am going to continue to do what I'm doing in my sewing room, which is I'm putting together a fabric kit for the Haunted Bridge, which is really, really cute. I should show it to you, huh? I'm putting it up right now on the website, so if you want to get it, you can. But look how cute this is. Here's the design. It's the Haunted Bridge. So cute, right? Here, I'll let you see it like that. So cute. And here's the fabric kit. So cute. I just love mixing fabrics. So these are like motive, I think it's called cross weave, and then thatched fairy frost, a grunge, you got to put a grunge in, and this is Ben Artek's cotton shot. It's gonna look so good. Anyways, back to our normally scheduled programming right now. We'll come back to Wallflower. All right. Next step. If you get your instructions, you're going to turn to page 4 and you're going to do a placement stitch. So in the Kimberbell or the Minky Kim version, I did it with I did this with my Scan and Cut, but with this version we're just doing it the traditional way. You want to put in your buttercup. So I'm going to change my thread right now to buttercup, which is like that lighter or kind of medium yellow. And then you want to get your piece of, it's kind of that mustardy yellow fabric. So go ahead and thread her up. Let's go ahead and give your fabric a little shot of spray as well. So just to the back. We're going to do our placement line and then we're going to put our fabric down. You want a good pair of snips because we're going to be trimming. Trim it up. And my favorite snips are my Kimberbell ones. I love them, love them, love them. These, if you don't have them, you should get a pair. And if you don't like to spray, you can, of course, you could just tape. So I'm just going to put it down right here. I don't have a shape flex all the way down to the very bottom. So I want to be mindful of that. Slide that back in. Make sure that you fluff your fabric. Every time you take this out, you want to make sure that it's not getting folded under. I'm going to go ahead and hit start again, and it's going to do the tack down. When you do the Scan and Cut, you're going to actually, because I had heat and bond on it, so I just ironed it down, and then I skipped this step. But if you're not ironing, then you have to do this step. You have to do the tack down and the trim. There's one of my hearts. That's how I knew how to place my other piece, the one that I Scan and Cut, because I looked for the 2 hearts. Like here's one heart where it doesn't come down all the way, so it looks more like a heart than a petal. And then here's my other heart. You see it? Okay, your tack downs usually happen twice. Sometimes I'll catch when I forget to fast forward and I do a tack down of my batting, but I mean to do a tack down of my background fabric, because I'll see it do the second go around and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a tack down. I'm gonna move my camera over here so I can go ahead and do my trimming. I'm gonna bring this towards me a little bit. Okay, here we go. Maybe that's a better view. Oh my goodness, my thumb doesn't work. All right, stitch down. I'm going to slide my hoop back on. And the next step is going to be the decorative stitch. So you're going to use that same buttercup and then go ahead and let it do the decorative stitching all around all the petals. You want to make sure that you trim nice and close, because this stitch, if you're not nice and close, the little threads and edges will stick out. And this is 5 minutes of stitching. Just go ahead and let it go. All right, just go ahead and hit start again. It is going to do some decorative stitching in the middle part, kind of radiating out. And then we're going to get ready to put on the flowers. I feel like this is the most fun part, or the funnest. And you're going to need your shadow thread. Did you hear that? That is my fabric going underneath, but we're okay. That looks so good. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our shadow. We are almost done. Did I mirror image this? I think I said I was going to mirror image it, and I can't remember if I did mirror image it or not. We'll find out. Let me go ahead and put in my shadow. Sometimes I tell you I'm going to do something, and then I go on autopilot. So I am not going to use tape for this. You're going to see, let's go ahead. This is going to be the placement stitches first. Oh, I didn't mirror image it, which means when I do the stitch out on Friday as a group, I'm going to mirror image there. So hopefully that won't confuse you. Okay, so we're going to do little, big, little, little, big, little. So I want you to look at the back of your flower. Like this side I can see some white, so that's the back. I can barely see any. So this one, there's my white. So make sure you have them all right side up. Make sure you have trimmed so that they look pretty. And the dark part right here in the center is what you're going to put over the square that was just stitched. And I'm just going to hold it down right like that. Whoop. That looks way too far up. Hang on. Let me go ahead and make sure I have that. So, there. That looks good. That should be it. And you can kind of fold it back and check it. Yeah. That looks perfect. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just start stitching again. Once it stitches a couple of stitches, you can actually let go because it'll stay right where it's supposed to go. I'm going to let it stitch this one down, and then I'm going to hit the start stop button to stop it, and then I'll put the next flower down. The next one's going to be a big one right here. So you'll hear it cut, and then you're going to go ahead and there's my cut. It's going to go over to the next spot, but it will not start stitching. So I'm going to go ahead and put my foot up so I can see. We want a big one here. And let me make sure again that I have the right side. Yep. And I can flip it up a little bit just to make sure that that's where it needs to be. If you want to rotate this at all, you can rotate it. I'm fine with where it's going right now. I'm just going to hold this down with my little spatula. Let it stitch down. And then I'll let go. And again, I'm going to hit the start stop button once it finishes, and I hear it cut. Okay, put your foot up so you have some room. Go ahead and you're going to put this down right here over it. You can lift it up a little bit to make sure that circle is right on the square. And go ahead and hit start. And that should be enough. And once it finishes this one, it's going to go to the center of your big flower. You're just going to let it go. And aren't these so cute? They're your little dimensional flowers. They're adorable. I don't know what this little thread is here, but I'm going to get it. All right, and guess what? We are done. So the next time I will see you will be in our live class where we will be stitching this out again. And I'm going to make a note to myself. Don't you love that little center right there? Looks like a little honeycomb. I'm going to make a note to myself that I'm going to be stitching out the mirror image. And that is October's block. Thank you so much for joining me.